Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rowency Garcia, and I'll be presenting today with Mr. Yizhen Zhao, our registered migration agent. Today, we are going to discuss about nursing pathway. So, first and foremost, why we are, next please. So, first and foremost, we would like to disclose that we do not advise you to act on the basis of the material contained in this presentation without obtaining the advice relevant to your individual circumstances. So it's always a case-to-case basis. So what we will present today is a general information about the nursing pathway. Next, please. So why some of the students shifting to nursing course and some to nursing course? So except the nursing course is in demand worldwide, and except that it is a stable industry. It's also being a nurse makes a real difference in someone's life. With compassion and dedication at work, nurses become their patients' trusted confidants. And nursing, you know that nursing is all about patients. So today we're going to discuss the qualification and outcome of nursing course. So if you took the diploma of nursing, you will be enrolled as a nurse. And if you take Bachelor of Nursing, you can register as a nurse. And if you take the Master of Nursing, you can also convert it to as and registered. You can be also a registered nurse. Sorry. So next, please. So with Diploma of Nursing, we listed here those different list of accredited providers around Australia. So in Victoria, we have Acknowledge Education, Australasian Lawrence, Aged Care College, Australian Centre of Further Education, Bendigo Kangan Institute, Box Hill TAFE, Education Training and Employment Australia, Gordon TAFE Regional Campus, Holmesglen Skills Training Australia, Think Education, Southern Cross Education Institute, and in South Australia, there's Equals TAFE SA, Think Education, Southern Cross Education Institute. So usually the intake date, we listed here also the intake dates, the nearest intake date possible that we can assist our student for admission. So for Victoria, it will be on September 2022, and for South Australia, it will be on February 2023. So the approximate price of the tuition fee for Victoria is 17,000 to 24,000 fee admission for the tuition fee, and for the South Australia is 26,000 to 30,000. Next, please. And for the New South Wales, we have Australian Harbour International College. We have Nurse Training Australia. Nurse Training Australia. We have TAFE New South Wales, University of Wollongong College Australia. So the intake dates availability for this will be next February 20 to 23, and the tuition fee approximately will be 24 to 28,000. For WA or Western Australia, there is only one, which is TAFE Western Australia for Diploma of Nursing, which will be the intake available. The take availability will be on February 2023 for 26,000 to 27,000 per year. So in Queensland, we have TAFE Queensland and Queensford College, and also the availability will be on January 2023. And the fees will be 24 to 28,000. And in ACT, we have Canberra Institute of Technology and Key2 Learning. And the next available intake will be on October 2022. So the cost will be 22 to 35,000. And for Northern Territory, we have only one, Fox Education and Consultancy, which it will be on September 2022, which is 35,000. And for Tasmania, we have Tasmania Day. The next intake will be, there is intake this July, but the next intake will be February 2023 if you're unable to get enrolled this month. So the cost will be 27,000. Next, please.
Sorry,
So,
hey, Rowency.
sorry?
These are for 1 year, right?
Yes.
35,000 for Northern
Yes.
Territory. It's 35,000 for 1 year. For Fox one, right? Fox Consultancy.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
No worries. So if you have questions later, we can answer all the questions later after the presentation. So to continue for the entry requirements of Diploma of Nursing, so you have to be year 12 or equivalent for international qualification. So the English score required is overall 7 and no less than 7 on each band of either IELTS, PPE. So to inform you guys, for TOEFL, the minimum overall score will be 94 with minimum score of 24 in listening. For reading and writing, it's equivalent to 27, and for speaking is 23. And for the OET, minimum overall score will be letter B with no individual band less than B as well. B for Bravo. So for PB academic, it should be academic, yeah. So 65 with no communication band less than 65 as well. So to continue, you must be at least 18 years or 18 years old or older. Next, please. So for Bachelor of Nursing, so we listed also for those university which is accredited by AFRA. So they updated everything this 2022 as well. So for Victoria, we have Torrance University, RMIT, ACU Swinburne, Deakin, Victoria University, La Trobe University, Federation, and Monash. So usually the course will last for 36 months. And in Monash, for Victoria, will last for 48 months. So usually for the rest of the university in Victoria, it will last 36 to 48 months for the course of Bachelor of Nursing. And for South Australia, we have University of South Australia, University of Adelaide, Flinders University, and Torrance University. So usually the intake will last for 36 months to 72 months. So it depends if you will take it full-time or part-time. So in New South Wales, we have the list of Charles Sturt University, Western University, Western Sydney University, University of Wollongong, ACU, University of Tasmania, Sydney, and University of Newcastle. So for New South Wales, usually for CSU, the course will last for 36 months if you're full-time, and also will last up to 60 months if you're doing part-time. So minimum of 36 months if you're taking it full-time. So for Western Australia, we only have one available university, which is Murdoch University, which is the course will last for 36 months as well. So for Queensland, we have Central Queensland University, we have Griffith University, James Cook University, University of Sunshine Coast, Southern Cross University, and University of Southern Queensland. Same thing, the course will last 36 months if you're doing it full time, and up to 72 months if you're taking it part time. So for ACT, we have University of Canberra and ACU. For the University of Canberra, it will last for 36 months for full time and 72 months if you're doing it part time. For ACU, it will last for 4 years. And for the Northern Territory, we have Charles Darwin, same thing, 36 months full time and 70 up to 72 months for part-timer student. And for Tasmania, we have University of Tasmania, definitely, which is only available for 36 months for full-time students. So for nursing pathway, as I've mentioned, there's like Bachelor of Nursing, which is 3 years, which is what I explained to you guys, like it will last for 3 years. And if you're doing the enrolled nurse course, it will last for 2 years. And if you're doing the graduate entry, it will be 2 years as well. And if you studied Bachelor of Nursing overseas, you need to have an English score of 7 each. For registration, you should be registered overseas as a nurse, which is one of the admission requirements of the universities. And with experience, some amount of experience should be okay. So for Master of Nursing, we have, in Victoria, we have Monash University and University of Melbourne. For Monash University, you can finish your course for 24 months if you're doing it full time. And for the University of Melbourne, you can finish it in 24 months as well if you're doing it full time, and you can finish it for 36 months for part-timers. For South Australia, we don't have available university for Masters of Nursing as per update of APRA. So what I'm talking about here are those registered universities according to APRA, okay? So for New South Wales, the available university for masters is the University of Sydney. In the University of Sydney, you can finish your course for 24 months full time and 36 months of your part-timer. So, yep. And for Western Australia, we have Edith Cowan University and Curtin University. For Edith Cowan, if you're doing it full time, 24 months. Part-time, 48 months. And for Curtin University, 24 months full-time and 48 months if you're doing it part-time. So for Queensland, we only have available university for Master of Nursing, which is the University of Queensland, which is available only for full-timer, which is 24 months. For ACT, there's no available master course for nursing. And for Northern Territory, we have Charles Darwin University, which is you can finish your course for 18 months. 18 months, and then there is also available for NSW external studies under Charles Darwin University, which you can finish it in 24 months full time. So furthermore, our registered migration agent, Zach, will explain how you can get assessed for a nursing course. Thank you.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yep, we can.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Zach. I'm a migration agent. I'll take it from here. Basically, as a migration agent, I understand that a lot. Okay, I understand a lot of nursing students are a caring person. They want to become a nurse just to look after others, look after patients. But also, there are a lot of clients or nursing students. They are in this business for migration. I'm here to help you to eventually achieve this target. Where are we? Skill assessment. Yes. So to become a nurse, registered or enrolled nurse, there are registration requirement and there are skill assessment requirement before you can go through any skilled or employment migration pathways. And for you to do that, it depends on where you are from. So if you have a Australian accredited qualification like we just listed before, you can use that qualification and get the registration, rather very streamlined, simple. If you have an overseas qualification, you have to go through a program, and it has this program, and use that program to get the registration in Australia. They used to call it a bridging course. Then there are a few changes, and now they introduced this thing called OBA test. It's a bit complicated, but the simple version is that if you take this test and pass, you will be considered almost equivalent of having an Australian qualification, and then you can be registration, get the registration and the skill assessment, become a nurse that can practice in Australia, and then get migration pathways. And just 1 second. So the governing body, as you see on this slide, is ANMAC, and it's ANMAC. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather today. Australia Nursing Midwifery Accreditation Council. They also have a very high English requirement as it's the same as the entry requirement, 7.0 in IELTS test, or PTE 65, or OET B in all modules. This is it's a rather difficult test for a lot of overseas clients if they have never studied in an English environment. But if you have studied here and completed your course, I find them often able to pass this test. Next slide, please. Now we are looking at how to get this pathway. Unfortunately, this is not the best timing because we have just entered the new financial year. Almost all the states and the central government are still reviewing the allocation data. So how many people they can invite to this financial year from July to June next year. So they are scratching their heads and trying to find out how many I can invite and how many nurses I should invite. So as a result, most of the invitations, most of the states are either suspended or only inviting a very low amount of all the occupations. It will change somewhere in 2 to 4 weeks. That's based on the experience last year and the year before. They will start the invitation and invitation rounds from July to from end of July and early August. As you can see, Victoria is currently closed. I will discuss the Victoria possibility later. Tasmania is somewhat open, but they have made a few announcements, and technically it's still closed. But they have made a few announcements of what they are going to invite this financial year. So they are still inviting people with a qualification or work experience in Tasmania. So let's say if you completed a 2-year course, you will be invited. If you have a job in Tasmania, a full-time job in Tasmania, highly relevant for 6 months, you'll be invited. Or if you have a 1-year qualification, you will be invited for as a 491 visa applicant. That's the temporary visa leading to permanent residency pathway. Queensland is closed. ACT Canberra is currently closed. Northern Territory is open, but yes, all Northern Territory is open. They invite people with either graduate and plus 6 months resident in Northern Territory, or 12-month residence or 12 months work experience in Northern Territory. And next slide, please. And also we have South Australia closed, New South Wales closed, Western Australia open, but it's never been very popular here. It's a study option. So if you want to take your study in Western Australia, you will, of course, you can get a invitation after that, after your study. Okay, I just want to spend some more time to discuss let's see, Victoria. Victoria has been a state not very favorable, to be honest, not very favorable to local graduate students in the past few years. The reason the reason is that since the pandemic, we have removed the local graduate pathway. It was very easy if you graduated from as a nurse in Victoria for 2 years and get your skill assessment. They will just pretty much hand a invitation and you can get a pathway. But since the pandemic, the program has been suspended because we were in desperate need for nurses, but they suspended this program, meaning that no matter where you study, say in Western Australia, you graduated from Western Australia, you graduated from South Australia, you can get this equal chance to get an invitation in Victoria. Last year they changed it back a little bit. So they say if you have certain amount of work experience in Victoria, we will invite you. But they still haven't reintroduced the graduate program. I have a feeling, it's not confirmed, but I have a feeling that they will likely to reintroduce this program back to Victoria because it was a very successful program and it was popular and easy for them to manage. So it's possible that, don't quote me on it by the way, but it's very possible that they will reintroduce the program. If that's the case, the old program says that if you graduate for bachelor degree or master degree in Victoria and become a nurse, they will pretty much just invite you for this. So it's a very hopeful year, and we want to see what they were going to introduce. And also in Victoria, there's a difference between regional and metropolitan area. So obviously, if you work in the regional area, you have a much better chance to get an invitation from Victoria regional body. And also there, just another one is New South Wales. New South Wales is a very special state because it has so many LGAs or regional authorities which can decide whether they want to invite people or not. So each of the LGA has its own power to make a list. And I can tell you, registered nurse and enrolled nurse are on most of the list. So you will always be able to find at least 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 places that they want to invite registered nurse or enrolled nurse to fill their local workforce. So you always have a chance, but the problem of New South Wales is it's very hard to track. You have to come to either track their websites, their different websites, or you have to come to us and checking often to see which one is inviting, what's the requirement, and which one is stopping the invitation. So it's a bit annoying, but I can tell you that New South Wales is definitely worth your time, and I have most of the successful cases in New South Wales in the last financial year. And I also want to name some regional states like South Australia, Tasmania, and Northern Territory. These states are they have a very open mind. If you graduate from there, they will almost guarantee an invitation from that state. So let's say if you study in Tasmania or Northern Territory for 2 years, Tasmania for 1 or 2 years, if you graduate from there, you can almost be sure that you will get an invitation somewhere on the line. And it has been working quite well in the last few years. So I'll just sum it up. If you are in Victoria, it's fine. Victoria does have a chance, and this year they may introduce some more welcoming changes. This year, it's very likely. New South Wales is also worth your time of checking. The problem is it's the most complicated states for migration. Because they have too many bosses in the state. So you need to keep on track and move very fast. Sometimes the invitation window can be just 1 or 2 hours, then it's closed. And if you want to have a rather reliable pathway, you need to check Tasmania, South Australia, and Northern Territory, because these 3 states are very reliable. If you graduate from there and work their required work experience, they always give you an invitation. So it's a standard pathway with a reliable outcome. Let's move to the next slides. please. Yeah. So this is a bit of a repeat of the previous slide. So basically, this is the authority for you to get a skill assessment. It's for the skill assessment, obviously you need relevant qualification. If it's in Australia, you straight away you are let's say if you follow the list in the previous slides, you pretty much get the relevant qualification already. And if you pass the English test 7.0 in English test, and you need obviously you need an ALPA registration. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that word. AHPRA registration, meaning that you are able to practice in. Sorry, just one second. Sorry, can you hear me? The line was interrupted a little bit.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interrupted a little bit. Yeah, so then you can get the skill assessment, which is required by the by any of the pathways, with a very small exception. But I don't want to confuse you here. Most of the applications that leading to permanent residence pathway will require you to have the skill assessment. But if you have the registration, it means that you have done the most of the work. Let's say you already have the English test, and you already have the registration, you already have the qualification, or you have the equivalent of the qualification. Most of cases, without on top of my head, I only met like one or two complicated cases, and they have the registration. They still have trouble with the skill assessment. But most of you. Rest assured that once you get the registration, you should be able to achieve the skill assessment rather easily. Just one thing you need to remember: for the skill assessment, you have to take IELTS test, but for the registration, you can take multiple different tests. It's a bit complicated here, but I'm sure the PTE is trying to open their market in skill assessment here, but it hasn't been working. So remember, you have to eventually you have to provide an English test with 7 points each in academic to get your registration. But it's the equivalent of the PTE, so I don't imagine it's going to be very difficult.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah.
Zach. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
yeah, this is Joyce. I'm just wondering if you can provide us an assistance for the registration, because currently when we called for the APRA, because I'm already a nurse from international, and they said that there's no slot at the moment for the examination, and we took over the one year conversion, and it's all fully booked. Can you recommend, or would you be able to assist us in terms of getting this program?
Have you already? So you haven't been able to book the conversion course, right?
Not yet, because we've been like it's always fully booked, and
Yeah, that's something we find difficult as well. The best thing I can say is to check back to them often and see if there's a slot open. Slots will be open here or there. We've known that people been changing their mind and cancel the program, but that is a difficult thing that unfortunately we cannot help too much here. The only other way is to take that test. I don't have any other. Sorry, the other way you can also consider getting not the conversion cost, but the cost here with the credit, but it will take longer and it's more expensive. It depends on what you want. Having a longer course, let's say if you get a course credits and finish a bachelor degree for 2 years here, there are benefits, like you will be able to access to 485 visa with a 2-year work visa inside Australia. There will be benefits, but obviously it's demanding.
Sorry, can you say that again? So even if you're going to enroll into a course here, like taking 2 to 3 years, then you would be able to be granted with the work visa?
Yeah, once you finish a 2-year study on a bachelor level or higher, you will be able to apply for the 485 graduate visa, which is a very good visa. Depends on what you study, 2 or 3 years.
But the thing is, if you have already done masters,
Yeah.
are they going to accept you for the bachelor's though?
They are the visa
Really?
only the 485 visa only ask you to complete. Okay, two things. The study of the bachelor degree, you have to answer to the department that that you are a genuine student. We also help with this area, but in a very simplified version, you need to tell the department why you need to study a bachelor degree. You need to give the tell them what's the benefit for you, what's the incentive for you. For example, I want to have Australian standard. I want to learn Australian standard because it's internationally recognized, or I want to improve my knowledge. Or I want to review my knowledge. Something you have to tell the department something that to persuade them to give you the student visa. But once you get the student visa, if you haven't had the 485 visa before, you can always apply for the 485 visa and get either 2 or 3 years of work permission, work visa inside Australia, which is very useful because you will need that time to get put together your skill assessment, state sponsorship, among other things. So it's always a pathway you need to consider. Once again, I just repeat myself. I understand that doing this, you will require more money, more time, and it's very demanding. Yeah, but there are benefits. If you if you complete this and get a 485 visa, it will the rest of the migration journey, let's call it, will be much easier, much easier, simply because you have a 2-year visa. For example, you can, with that 2-year visa, you can simply move to Tasmania, work there for either 12 or 3 or 6 or 12 months, and they will just simply give you a invitation. That option will not be available if you, let's say, if you study the conversion course, because you won't have a work visa in Tasmania for enough duration. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, the investment is heavy, but it does have a very welcoming return in this scenario. I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
Yeah, but I'm thinking the possibilities.
I know. It's,
yeah,
it's
because
not a
we're
perfect
already
answer.
holding
It's not a
like
perfect answer.
temporary. It's about again studying, and it's gonna be
Yes,
like
yes.
conflict. And the thing, Zach, is all about our age, you know.
Yeah, I understand. I've been through this. I was there. I'm not a nurse. I've been through this as I studied engineer in Australia. So I've been through this. To be honest, I didn't want to study. I had to get a migration pathway. So yeah, there, and end up getting a visa, get a permanent residency. But speaking for myself, I didn't want to study here one more day than I had to.
Yeah.
That's why I said in the beginning that a lot of people here listening to me will be a nursing student wanting a pathway, not that they particularly like nursing than other occupations, but this is a rather promising pathway. No offense to other people, I'm just saying, yeah, a lot of people I experience that they always say that, can I shorten my study? Can I not study and get a pathway? I guess this is the reality. Sometimes you do have to consider some level of study to prove that it's called a skill migration for a reason. You need to show skills to get a migration pathway.
But the thing is, if they are needing the nurses, why are they putting all these pressures, like all requirements together?
Well,
We're just thinking.
There are different government bodies to consider.
Yeah.
For example, central government, the federal government, actually, they don't care that much. They just want to know that they are inviting skilled people to Australia. Then we have a question of AMAC and APRA, that these bodies, they have to maintain the standard of registration. Otherwise, people will die. This is a very sensitive occupation. People die. It's, I mean, not an exact comparison, but for cooks and chefs, it's easier. People may get a food poisoning, but for registered nurse, if they can't maintain the standard, people really die. So it's important for them to make sure that a certain standard has been upheld. And also the central government, they don't know any of you. No offense, but you are just applicants to them. They can only assess by paper. So need to know that on paper, they need to be 100% sure that you can do what you say you can do. So yeah, I know I don't like it, but this is how it's gonna be. Sorry, we are off the track for too long. Let's go
Ano
back
tong
to the.
sinasabi?
Sorry.
All good, all good.
Yes. Okay. Let's go back to the topic. Nomination. Which slides are we? Yes. Let's move to. Okay. For these nomination slides. After this, you will have my email address. You are more than welcome to check back with me. Say in the middle of August, because at the moment, I don't have much information for you. Every state will say that it's closed or pending for review or suspended. And most likely, in my experience, most likely after they reopen, they will change their policies either a little bit or a lot by far. So I don't have much information for you, but after August, I'm more than happy to answer your emails and or a telephone consultation to tell you which state I think is good or which state I prefer you to consider. But for now, let's just leave it. I already reviewed Victoria, New South Wales, and those 3 regional states. Those are my favorite ones to introduce. Always the case. Yes, and I need to mention ACT Canberra as well. So since last year, ACT has received too many applications, and the competition has been rather heated. And now the ACT, they have a different system. They have their own point test. So put it simple, if you are studying in other states and move to ACT to work, it will be very, very difficult for you unless you have family and investment in the ACT. If you are just working there, it will require you a rather long time to meet their point requirement because the competition has been high. They don't have enough invitations to give. So unless you have a relative in Canberra or you completed your study in Canberra, it's not recommended anymore. This time last year, I did recommend ACT. It was a successful half year, but later on it became more and more difficult. So if you haven't made any investment in the Canberra state, ACT state, my recommendation for this year is consider other states. There are much easier options. Can we move to next slide, please? Next slide. Next one. So yes, this is the Victoria one I was mentioning. If you look at the first box, 190 Victoria graduate stream, this was the program before pandemic, and I'm very hopeful that they will reopen this because we are border-wise, we are moving back to the pretty much the situation before pandemic. The border is reopened, and the job demand and international student input output are very close to before. We still need more people to come to Australia, obviously, and this is the situation, and this requirement is very likely to come back. Say if you have recently graduated in Victoria, and you have 7 each or equivalent of your English test, and you have been residing in Victoria, and you have passed the skill assessment as a registered nurse, they will send you an invitation. And in the past, this invitation has been very quickly because it's easy for them to assess. If you are graduate, and if you are residing in Victoria, that's it pretty much. Oh, and English test, that's pretty much it. So it's very easy for them to assess, and the document turnover time is quick. So that's the thing. And also, let me see. In the 190, so metropolitan invitation, it's very unlikely for for any of the enrolled nurse to get any spot anymore. In the 20 pandemic period, especially the first year of the pandemic, they have been trying to invite nurses anywhere on every level. So it has been, we had some successful cases, but for now, it's very clear that they are going to invite enrolled registered nurse only for the future in metropolitan area. And for the enrolled nurse, if you are enrolled nurse or becoming an enrolled nurse, you can only consider 491 visa in the regional area, in the regional Victoria. The requirement is similar, but for the 190 visa, the metropolitan area visa, you do have a higher points requirement. We say 70, but it can go even higher than that. Victoria is also very popular, so if you don't have enough high enough points, they may choose to invite people other than you because they have higher points. Simple as that. So a recommendation is finish your English test, get your higher points, and also collect your work experience, collect your partner's English test. Your partner's English test, so on and so forth. Get as many points as possible. Let's move to once again, just to be clear, this slide is our prediction. It's not finalized yet, but maybe in the future, yeah, come back to us in late July or early August and for confirmations. Next slide, please. And there has been a 189 visa, that's the independent visa. The invitation does not require any state sponsorship. Basically, you are a registered nurse, your point is high enough, the department will choose to invite you. The thing is, the invitation has been very slow and has been very small, and it's not it's not available for enrolled nurses. This is registered nurse only. Only pathway. And if you have more than 85 points, you may have a chance. But during the pandemic, this visa invitation has been very slow and was interrupted quite a few times. So honestly, I don't know what's gonna be. They are saying there are rumors or unconfirmed information saying that because we have Labor has been elected to govern us, they are going to expand the 189 visa pathway. There has been some sayings, but I have to emphasize on unconfirmed rumors. So if they decide to say, let's say, double the invitation rounds, double the invitation and increase the invitation, that's good. That's good for us. And the point of invitation may decrease. Say go back to closer to 75 or even 70, 65. It's possible, but don't count on it. It's possible, but don't count on it. The benefit of this visa is that it's an independent visa. Once you get a PR, you don't have no strings attached, no invitation, no state sponsorship required. You just get an invitation from the federal government and you apply for this visa. It's the easiest skill migration visa ever. And the document turnover is also quick, very, very fast. Less than 1 year. Most of them will get the visa between 6 to 9 months. But the thing is, you do have to get a rather high points, 85 points. They are inviting 85 points, but from May 2020, meaning that most people have to wait for with 85 points. Will have to wait for almost 2 years. Now it's May 2020, so they have to wait for 23 months before they can get an invitation. Before that, it's a very long and uncertain wait in this queue. That's not very pleasant, I can tell you. And I do highly recommend you to consider other pathways before this. But the good thing about 189 visa is it doesn't cost you much. When you register your express of interest, you can just tick a box and get a 189 visa considered. So if the department says, okay, we want to invite more people, whoever tick the boxes, that particular box, we will consider. It will be good news to you. I think the takeaway is don't bet on it, but it can be a very nice addition in your options. yes, that's something that we may consider. I think that's the end of my presentation, my part of the presentation. I skipped the point test, which I can do individual assessment with you. Just shoot me an email. I can calculate your points. And I skipped the background of the skill migration visa. So basically the independent or state sponsored visa, because I assume either you have some idea or it's not very relevant to you at this stage. I just want to spend another 1 or 2 minutes to recommend you to consider employment visa as well. So nursing has been very easy, or rather easy, for employment visas. If you have a employer says, I want to sponsor a nurse, and also you have more than 2 years, preferably 3 years work experience, it will be a very reliable and rather easy pathway instead of waiting for states sponsorship. You don't have to make a lot of commitment like moving to that particular state for a duration of time, or complete your study in the state for a duration of time. All you need is your registration and possibly skill assessment and an employer to sponsor you. For nurses, most of the employers are medical institutes. So they are very standard and usually have a high turnover. They have a high standard in their accounting documents, making things much easier for you to eventually obtain a visa. So do consider, and if you have an employer says, I want to sponsor you, come back to us and we can make some basic assessment and tell you, yes, this is a good pathway, or no, maybe not too much. But more often than not, you can be surprised for this pathway. That's the end of my presentation. I'm open to questions. You feel free to ask any questions here.
Thank you, Zach. Yeah, please feel free to ask questions for Zach.
Well, for both of us. For both of us.
Yeah, for both of us, of course. And yeah, by the way, if you want to do like one-on-one session, please feel free to email us so we can set an appointment for Zach, and for whatever locations you are nearby, we can set up face-to-face assessment for you. Do you have any questions for us?
All good then.
All good, I guess so.
Yes.
That's for now, Zach.
Yes, you can find our contact information on this slide. More than welcome to just call us or email us with any questions. I'm sure questions will come back, or situations can change, and there will be something confusing that you need some clarification. More than happy to help. Feel free to contact us. And thank you for attending this session.